Stories that are untold, underreported, and all-out inspirational. Carey Pena reports.
Hey everyone, I'm Carey Pena. Thank you for listening to Carey Pena Reports on iTunes and Stitcher, and for watching our live feed on Facebook and YouTube. You can like us and subscribe at Inspired Media 360, and you can always, of course, find all of our content at inspiredmedia360.com. Today we're talking about how it is never, ever too late to make your dreams come true. Our guest today is Lea Haben Woodford. Lea, thank you so much for being here.
Always a pleasure, Carey.
So you have such an incredible story. At age 50, you began building really the career of your dreams that you had always wanted. And recently you got some amazing news on the work front. We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But first, a little bit about your journey. You've had an incredible journey to now. You were diagnosed with cancer in 2011.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that diagnosis?
Well, it is the worst skin cancer you can have. I had lentigo maligna, and it basically meant they had to take the right side of my face off. I had a defect about the size of a softball.
Tell me, when you received the diagnosis, sort of what happened in your life? Like, how did you respond to hearing that?
Well, they didn't know how bad it was till they actually went in. So, of course, it's your face. It's scary. You know, I'm a woman. I was 49 years old at the time. You know, I'm about to be 50, and they want to cut into my face. And my type of cancer, they really didn't know how aggressive it was until they went in there. It was 11 hours of surgery, removing all of it. I had to have a surgeon to actually put a post in my eye because there was so much tissue loss, and they had to anchor my right eye back, and it resulted in 6 derma closures, 4 flaps, and 2 skin grafts. So to say that I look like a patchwork quilt, I mean, it was just an awful experience.
What were the steps for you after that? Like, what happened in your life?
Well, prior to that, my husband at the time had been in a serious motorcycle accident, and I was actually a columnist, and I was a dating and relationship correspondent. So I had to put my career on hold for about 16 months to get him. Because he had so much rehab through his motorcycle. He had a head injury, so we went through all of that. And then right after 10 neurosurgeons signed off on him and we got him back to work, right after that I was diagnosed. And so I had put my career on hold for 16 months, and then I had to put for him, and then I had to put my own career on hold and launching SmartFem because of this crazy cancer.
What was keeping you together?
Actually, I don't know if it was any one thing, because I had some pretty dark thoughts. I had a Glock 23 in my closet. It was loaded, and right after my 3rd reconstruction, I was served with divorce papers. And it was just a really dark place. In the meantime, my business partner was living in Long Island, and he was building SmartFem virtually. But he said, I'm going to put you on a plane. You're going to come out here, and we're going to focus on SmartFem. You made a promise to your daughter, and you're going to keep that. And so I just moved forward. I mean, he just forced me to focus. And the more I focused, the more I realized, and even now in 2017, I mean, women really have to be vigilant. I really found my purpose. Yes, it was a commitment to my daughter, but it's a commitment to women everywhere.
Well, let's talk about that. Your daughter really played a major part in you going out and achieving your dream at age 50 after being served divorce papers, and that must have been devastating given that you just helped nurse your husband back to health.
You know, I don't look at it that way. I don't know if you've ever I did look at it that way, but my business partner, who is now my husband, we got married 2 years ago, he made an excellent point, and that was that my ex-husband, he went through 16 months of rehab. You know, different types. He had to learn how to walk, talk, brush his teeth, and then go back and fly a plane. You know, he was a captain for Southwest. there probably wasn't anything left for me. He was doing everything. He used everything he had to get back where he was. And if I hung on to that, we would have never ended up being together. And I have to tell you, I'm in the best marriage. I have the best husband, and we're great business partners. And I wouldn't have that if I hadn't have been served those divorce papers.
Well, it just goes to show sometimes, no matter how dark times are, you never know what could be ahead. I think that's so much of what your story says. So tell me about your daughter's role and what she said to you.
Well, she called me out. In 2009, she was at NAU in the dorm watching television, and one of my dating and relationship stories came on, and she just calls me and basically called me out and said, Mom, I'm married to the education you're providing for me, but most of the girls I go to school with have no idea what they want to do, but they can describe every single second of their wedding day. And she said that basically your columns and your TV segments are perpetuating the Cinderella syndrome, and it isn't congruent with the way you raise me. And she said, you need to stop it, and you need to create something that's going to inspire, educate, and empower women.
What was incongruent about that in the way you raised her?
Well, because I actually never went, although I studied journalism, I never did anything with it till my 40s. I was a single mom. I've sold everything from software to mortgages, and I'd always worked really hard. She never saw me. I mean, I worked all the time, and that's what she saw. We always had a nice home. We always had nice vehicles, but it was based on my income, and that's what she saw.
So she wanted you to dig deep and really do what she thought was important work.
Well, I had always told her that a man's not the plan, and she felt that, okay, you raised me that way, but now you're kind of putting it out there. And I hadn't really looked at it that way. It was a really fun, cool job. I got to write, and I got to do my dream, being on TV and everything. But it really wasn't the way she was, the way I raised her. And she made me really look, and I was embarrassed. I was really kind of embarrassed that she called me out.
So when you had the moment recovering from your cancer surgery, how long was that recovery, the reconstruction of your face?
It was about 11 months, because it wasn't one surgery. It was more than one.
And so fighting through that depression, do you remember a moment when you said, okay, I'm going to be okay?
I just remember Paul, who is now my husband and my business partner. We got really close, and he just said, I'm going to move out to Phoenix, and we're really going to make this happen. Because I felt like the world, the carpet had been pulled out from under me, and I just felt like at last somebody is going to help me and believes in what I'm doing, because the people who I thought would be there after my cancer, I had friends, and divorce. Cancer and divorce, you find out who your friends are and who they're not. And the people who I thought would be there weren't, but then some amazing people I would have never guessed showed up and are still in my life.
And thus SmartFem is born.
Yes.
So tell us about SmartFem.
Well, SmartFem started out as an online magazine for women, and we still have that. But Carey, as you know, marketing changes every single day, and social media changes. There's always something new. So we actually started incorporating video into YouTube after the acquisition of Google acquiring YouTube. You have to have video. So we started getting new skill sets and building our team, and just decided, well, this is the way we'll keep SmartFem relevant. And then our clients started wanting video production and web design, and so we actually had to build a parent company, because we're not just a magazine anymore. We're kind of a multimedia marketing advertising agency.
What has that felt like for you, Lea, to know that you came back from something that was so dark and so difficult, and you've been building something so incredible?
I think, first of all, I have an amazing team, and I did not do this on my own, and I will never take credit for that, but I've had amazing people inspire me, hold my hand. I've had tremendous mentors, and I think mentors are really a great access when you're building a small business. And, the one thing I will say, as you learn new skill sets and you build your team, you find new revenue streams.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun, and it's really fun to have the focus off of me and to have a purpose.
Yeah.
And that's what I really love about SmartFem. It isn't about me. It's about propelling women and getting them to go farther. And especially, and I'm not going to get into politics, but right now I think women have to be very, very vigilant. I think we have to be mindful of what's going on in Washington because things can change on a dime.
What do you think your story goes to show women who might be watching or listening? Maybe a lot of those women are going through hard times. And it is especially tough when you don't know who all you can depend on and you feel alone.
I would say here's the one message. There's actually several messages, I think. First of all, don't put an expiration date on yourself. I got married at 52. I found love again. 50 isn't fatal. I also found the career of my dreams, and I love what I do, and you can start over. You can start at any time, and don't put an expiration date on yourself, and don't let anybody else do it.
So tell us about your book and this big new opportunity for SmartFem that is going to be on nationwide exposure.
Well, my book, that was a really, really tough thing to write. I'm hoping that it inspires women to kind of take a look at their life and appreciate the things, and it gives them the courage to move forward because we all get stuck. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just need a little nudge. So I'm hoping that book will be a little nudge. But it was really hard, Carey, because I had to write about myself. And as a journalist, we're always asking everybody else questions.
Right. And you had to probably reflect on periods that are somewhat you want to put them away and move on.
I can't tell you how many times I had to rewrite that book.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh my God, that is really not the way I wanted to come across. I mean, I had a lot of anger issues regarding some of the things that happened to me. And that book allowed me to get rid of those. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the blessings. It was very cathartic for me. And I was able to really think of things, from the other side. Yeah. I've gone through it. I'm out on the other side, and to change my perspective.
Yeah. And then talk to me about SmartFem and this big deal that you just scored.
I'm very, very excited. SmartFem TV was picked. I've been trying to get it off the ground for years locally, mm-hmm. and I had no luck. So I went to New York and met with Jeffrey Hazlett, who's with Bloomberg. He does a lot of podcasts with CBS radio, and he just said, I love your stuff, and said yes. So when everybody said no here, I went to New York, and they said yes. And I just found out, I just got back, that our show will also be featured in all of the major airports as well as luxury hotels.
So cool. And those airports now, you can sit there for hours. There's so much cool stuff going on. Like the bars and restaurants, watch some SmartFem TV. I think it's a great entrepreneurial story, success story. I mean, you've been building for 6 years. And what does it feel like when so many people say no? Did you ever doubt yourself?
Oh, all the time. All the time. I mean, taking no, even now, Carey, I got to tell you, I mean, we have the only female show on the C-Suite network, and you're the only local media that really thinks it's a newsworthy story. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I think it's big news.
I think so too. But I really love that you report on things that are not so negative, because I think it's a very negative world right now, and I think women especially need some positivity. So I love what you're doing and the way you support other women.
Well, your story is indicative of what I like to report on, because you've walked through a tough journey, and so many people have. All of us have go through tough times, some more difficult than others. Certainly a cancer diagnosis is very extreme. But what I try to focus on, and what you have shown in your story, is the strength and how you move forward. And the fact that you've been able to have this major life pivot at age 50 and get married and now achieve like new levels of success, I think is incredible. What do you think is sort of the biggest lesson you've learned?
You've heard that saying, when one door closes, another one opens. I've found that not only is that true, but the door that opens is so much better than the one that you wanted to go through anyway.
Yeah. I mean, how grateful are you for your daughter really being like brutally honest and having that tough love with mom?
You know, I am so proud of the woman that she's turned out to be. And I probably was not the best mom. I worked all the time, but I hope that, I'm a good role model and that she's proud of me.
Who inspires you?
Oh my God, I have so many. Well, of course, Oprah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Oprah? Diane Sawyer. I love her. I love Carey Pena.
Oh, thank you. I mean, because building a company and doing the things that you're doing, it seems that you do try to draw inspiration from people around you and stay in a positive frame of mind to move the ball forward.
Well, and I wrote this in the book, Carey. I think sometimes you have to trade up your friends, and it's only because sometimes they can't get you to the next level. You need to be playing with people who are where you want to go.
Did you have to do that? I mean, it seems like there were some tough times there where people really disappointed you. And for women, sometimes it's hard for us because we're loyal by nature. And I think it makes you kind of want to stay and try to hold on and see if there's anything left.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I have a feminist magazine in Cowboy Town. I went to New York, of course.
And what did you do, though, when you had to let some people go, Lea, and then just keep moving on?
I let them go with love. I wish them well. And, it's nothing personal. It's just some people can't enjoy your success and they want you to stay in this bottom level.
And now you're surrounding yourself, as my friends like to say, like find your tribe.
Yes.
And stay around those people. That's what you're doing now.
I am, and I'm building my tribe.
Mm-hmm. What's next for you?
I don't know. I'm just kind of hanging on, enjoying this ride.
It's so great to have you in the studio, and I am so excited about your book and this new deal. I encourage everyone to go check out all the cool stuff you're doing, because you don't just report on women; you report on a variety of subjects.
Female-friendly companies, and there are not enough of them.
Yeah, I love it. Lea, thank you so much. Great to have you in the studio, and great to have all of you with us on YouTube and on Facebook. Of course, you can see all of our shows, and I hope you will check out our weekly talk show, In the Moment. You can see all of that on InspiredMedia360.com. Today's show produced and engineered by Shannon Hernandez, brought to you by Inspired Media 360. Until next time, stay inspired.